I look back and I see how lucky of a person I am. I was listening to some Emerson, Lake and Palmer, which is like one of my favorite groups of all time. Greg Lake, I mean, what a voice. I was watching some stuff on YouTube, a little retrospective. I didn't know he died. I wasn't aware of it in 2016. Guess I haven't kept up with this. And Emerson died. Palmer, I'm not sure. I haven't really kept up. Uh, Brain Salad Surgery was one of my favorite albums of all times, actually. I listen back in his music and I think to myself, like one of the songs he was singing was, "Ooh, what a lucky man I am," lucky man I was, and that was actually written by Greg Lake when he was just a kid, 12 years old. It was just like kind of like a little folk thing that he had wrote, and actually when they were putting one of their albums together, they needed one track. So the other band members said, we need something to, fill the gap. One of these had to be one more track. And Greg Lake said, well, I got this little ditty I wrote when I was a kid, kind of a folky thing, but they kind of heard it a little bit and said, I don't know. But then he worked on it. He did vocals and guitar himself on it. And to their surprise, it was really good. It's one of their signature songs. Um, anyway, something I could say something about my age. I'm not regretting because I lived during a period of time in the 70s, 80s. A lot of the good music really came out of the 70s. That really is the grain of who I am today in a lot of people. The best music came out of that era and some into the 80s. So let's say classic rock. And it's so sorrowful to see so many icons dying, but they're getting older. And I was watching. I didn't see how he looked as an older man. He was born in '47, so he had to be like in his 70s, somewhere around there. I don't know. He gained a lot of weight. I didn't even recognize him. He was on a radio show, and this was put on YouTube, 2012, and he was singing some songs on there and talking about the history of the band and all that. It was really interesting to listen to. That's the music of my era that I'm really proud of. There's nothing that can compare to it now. All this pop music now is a bunch of crap, and the rap music is absolutely gutter trash. And you know, what they did to rock is, and some of these bands are calling themselves rock bands, and it makes me want to puke. You know, to some people to label themselves as rock bands. I can't go through all the names of pop music people that are kind of referring themselves as rock bands, but no. So this is kind of a retrospect today. It has to do with a lot of things. Whether I'm staying on YouTube, I really don't know what I'm doing here because I don't know what my purpose here is anymore. I don't. I kind of look back on certain things and I say YouTube is so unimportant to me. It's important to me to teach people my experience of living in the Philippines. And I still find it to be a mind trip that I'm actually living in the Philippines. I mean, it really is. And until you actually do what I did and you meet a woman and you wind up in the Philippines, you won't understand what a mind trip it is. It's mind blowing. It's absolutely mind blowing. The experiences I had with a few people, the women I met out here, I don't regret, although maybe they didn't turn out right, but something from all the negative came out of positive because I learned quite a bit, which I guess is what you all have to do out there if you're planning to move to the Philippines and be with a Filipina. You don't be falling or getting infatuated with the first woman that you meet out there. I did, but for good reason because she was, quite a charm. I'll tell you that she really was. I didn't still never figured out if she was for real or not. Things happened, and I can't answer the questions even to myself as to what happened. But it was an emotional period of time for me. My first Filipina in the Philippines, that is, and I was an emotional wreck after I came home from that trip. I was initially, while I was out there with her, finally, It was on the biggest high I've ever had or could possibly have in my life. Um, it was like an adrenaline pump. It was an endorphin gland accelerator. I can't even put it in words. But things happen, and you learn from your experiences. Just like I'm learning from my experience being on YouTube. It's been a mixed potpourri of good and bad, and I still don't know what to make of it. I'll say I'm getting off, and next, a couple of hours later, here I am putting on something on retrospective on here, and as if I'm saying goodbye to everyone here. And I've said goodbye and wanted to say goodbye so many times to my viewers, and something brings me back. I don't know, it's this spirit I have in me that doesn't like to fail and doesn't like to be chased off, and I never want to be chased off my own channel. I've never let that happen. I might be actually taking a break no matter what I say here, and the fact that I'm back here with another video. Having to do with the equipment, a lot of different things, but sometimes I think I need a rest from all this. I mean, really a rest. I think I said all I can to this point about the Philippines. There's lots more, and there's lots more I could put together, and I will. But when I get back on my other channel, the main channel, we'll see what happens with that. Unless I really, really, really have something to say, like I felt I had something to say right now. I was kind of going back in a time machine and happened to see something on Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and I decided to look up the Brain Salad Surgery album, and one song in particular I did like, and I liked the wording on there, and it just brought me back. And it really defines me who I am today. Music does define a person. I was never a music aficionado. I never was, even to this day. But, I look back in the most important years of my life, I think, were in the 70s to the 80s. Around there, that's when I really started experiencing what I call life and, getting out of my nest at home and traveling across the United States for a month. And my life really opened up tremendously, going to college and everything I went to. Did I ever think I'd ever leave the United States? No, it never came to my mind at all. My mind was all over the place, really. I just could not get into American women anymore, like that song, American Woman, Stay Away From Me, guess who? And it just wasn't there, it wasn't happening. So here I am. I'm actually living in the Philippines now. What is it, 1 year and 3 months? I don't know what it's been. Besides the visits I've made, 3 other visits prior to here, to living here. And it's still a mind-blowing thing to me. I mean, it really is that I'm here. Sometimes I lay there and I think, am I really here? Am I really here to stay? What's my plans? Am I going back to America at any time? And I can't bring myself to doing that. I just... despite there's a lot of downfalls of living in the Philippines, there's also some good things too. Yeah, there are inherent dangers out here as any foreigner living anywhere else. But I found something golden in my life. I did. There's nobody on YouTube that could get me down. When I think of what I have and potentially what you don't have, and maybe what you could have if you're lucky enough to be me, to find a woman that is so absolutely caring that it could bring tears to my eyes. It really could. I only wish I was 20 years younger. Maybe 20 more years I could spend with her. That's my only regrets that I have. So no matter what my life has been like, good or bad, through all the years, it's kind of come to fruition. I mean, I think it really has. It has. I'm lucky. That's all I could really tell you. I'm actually very lucky. There's nothing I wouldn't do for this woman, and there's nothing she wouldn't do for me. That's what you call a real woman. She has no intent on getting a green card coming to the United States. I know there's guys out there with wives and they're going to the United States, and they tend to question that, especially when the wife is very ambitious. That makes you, kind of scratch your head a little bit there. What's her real intention? But I guess only the husband of that woman will find out in time for sure what it's really all about. It's true. You can't always trust those situations when a woman is really ambitious to get to the States. It makes you wonder what's the real reason she's with this guy, and it really makes you think, and I do feel sorry for these people who have women like that. Mine doesn't care to go to the United States. If I wanted to go, she'd go when the time came, but there's a lot involved to do this. And her mother's still alive out here and her family, and I wouldn't want to take her away from that. I could make periodical trips to the U.S., I could do that. But there's no reason to come back, really, unless, something happened to, my brother, who has a lot of health problems. My daughter still lives in Washington State. I haven't seen her for years. So we kind of have a semi-good and, I don't know, sometimes a strange relationship. And there's Pepita in the background. By the way, if I didn't tell you guys, she is definitely pregnant. She's due somewhere around September 20th, anywhere from 2 to 3 puppies, the guy seems to think. So kind of a vet guy, and that's what's going on with that. But yeah, in retrospect, I look back to my first time being in the Philippines and what's happened to me. There was some really deep, dark moments I've had with particularly one woman, and then after the hurt that happened with her emotionally, I went on like a trooper, and I met a couple of other women, and I tried to see the good in them, and sometimes you can't help getting attached. I'm this guy who tries to look beyond the bad in somebody, and you don't maybe not believe that on YouTube, but I do, and I find a good, and I try to hold on to that good, but then the bad overtakes the good, and I have to say, man, it's time to let loose. Reminds you of a song, you know, hold on, hold on, hold on tightly, but don't let go. Oh, I forgot how to wear it. Was it Sticks? Hold on loosely, but don't let go. Hold on tightly, and you're gonna lose control. It really applies in my situation. Of the several women that I did meet out here, they all had some kind of quality that drew me to them, or else I would not have been with them at all. But as things turn out in time, things change. You find out a little bit about them, and they're not the person you thought they were. And that's just life. If you're going to meet a Filipina out here, please don't just go for the first one unless she's so unusually different. It's very easy to get emotionally attached to your first woman out here, like I did. I was an emotional wreck when I came back from the Philippines that first time after being with her finally, and it went crazy. It went too fast, and I wound up getting burned pretty damn bad. I mean, I was an emotional downfall. I think I lost 20 pounds in a matter of a short period of time. I'm not kidding you. It could happen to you. It truly can. And maybe some of you guys out there might relate to this. It might have happened to you too. There's something special about a Filipino that I can't explain. That's why people are so drawn to them. They're nurturing, and they're real, most of them. And despite a lot of adversity, even with family members and friends in the States, I decided to continue my direction, and I'm glad I did. And here I am now. Here I am now. Here I am. Wow. It still amazes me to this moment. Anyway, a tribute to Greg Lake, and he's passed away since 2016, but I found myself just listening to a lot of his music on YouTube today as best as it could load. My computer's a piece of shit. It's one of the reasons I might be off here for a little bit here. But I had to come on with this thought in my head. And when I get a thought in my head, here I am again. I'm on YouTube. So, if I'm on, I'm on. If I'm not, I'm not. How about that? It's probably a better way of saying it instead of saying I'm getting off this thing for a while, whatever. If I'm on, I'm on. You hear me. If I'm not, it's probably the best way to go about this. I don't know where direction I'm taking with my channel. I feel an air of change on YouTube. I don't know if you could feel it. I mean, since live streams came in, I think YouTube is falling apart. It's not the same as it was. It's just a gathering place for trolls, and it doesn't help a channel out in the long run. It doesn't help their AdSense out at all either. I'm not on here for AdSense. I came on here for a good reason, to actually genuinely share from my heart my experience of living in the Philippines as an expat, until the trolls came in and started giving me hell, and where I stand today with so many people out there that have been sucking dick of the alpha dog, and very convinced that I'm a scammer for some reason. I don't know who I scammed, but they sure came up with a lot of stories and turned it around. I've hurt no one on here. So that's just kind of the way it works on here. And you kind of go with the flow, or you don't go at all. You just get out of it. Those are the choices basically you have, and I'm kind of examining all of them right now. To my loyal viewers, I mean, you're always going to be there for me, and I appreciate that. You know, we're still here. We're on. The only time you're ever going to know I'm not on here is when I take everything down. Boom, gone. I do have the main channel. It's still there. It's still gathering subs, and people are still viewing. So when my strike is over, you might see me on that side of the fence again on the main channel. As you know, if you're just tuning into me, this is my little extra channel I use for, you know, when people like Crazy Eyes and people like that you know, have this genuine vendetta against me, and they don't want to see me happy in my life, and they spend their time just putting me down and everybody else in the world because they're unhappy with themselves. Well, I got a strike on my channel, which I did deserve because I used expletive language on there, and I didn't change it around on the wording. And thenceforth, he used it to his advantage to get me striked, and that's why I'm on this channel right now. Anyway, this was kind of a retrospective of things, music, this, that, good times, bad times, meeting your first Filipina, what to expect, all condensed into one blog. I mean, who can do that but me? I seem to be the only one who could actually do something like that, who could kind of conglomerate so much information in one relatively short blog and get some kind of a meaning out of it, or some perspective, and besides, you know, introducing a retrospect at the same time. So anyway, thanks for listening. We're here, and I am there because you are there, but how much longer, I don't know. Just kind of stick around. We'll see where this goes. There's more in life than YouTube, and I've taken enough damage on here, trust me, but I'm not one to back away from a situation either. So you never know what's going to happen with me from day to day. You just never know. That's who I am, and that's who I've always been. So thanks for listening to today's blog. We'll possibly catch you on the next, which it could be in 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 5 seconds. You just never know with me.